Laura fell for a college guy. She pushed me to get a divorce. Jackson, he's not after my money, just wants to be with me, and I have to give him that. We had been together for 7 years, from school uniforms to wedding dresses. I married her when she had nothing. Now she's successful but thinks I'm not as young or handsome as her new guy. She said seeing me reminds her of the hard times when we couldn't afford food or rent, and that I'm her life's embarrassment. The college kid adores her, making her feel excited every night. Eventually, she got the divorce she wanted but ended up regretting it. On the day we divorced at the Civil Affairs Bureau, I met Iris for the first time. He was in his early 20s, young and good-looking. His smile reminded me of myself back in college. When we came out, he bounced over to Laura like an excited puppy, hugging her with affection. Laura steadied him, playfully warning him to be careful. He just raised an eyebrow with a grin. Laura couldn't help but pinch his well-defined cheeks. Iris pretended to notice me only then, shyly pulling Laura's hand down, saying not to mess around. There were people around. Laura, no longer hiding after the divorce, told me straight up that Iris's ex had his son, who he now took care of. They planned to get their marriage certificate that day. I looked at Iris, clutching my divorce paper without responding to her. Iris eagerly pulled out a small box of wedding candies, stuffing it into my hand, saying with a genuine smile, "This is our first box of wedding treats we're giving away. Hope some of the happiness rubs off on you, big brother. I sincerely wish you find your happiness soon." He tightened his grip on Laura's arm, thanking me. "And thank you for taking such good care of Laura all these years. I promise to cherish her. If you don't mind, maybe we can connect on WeChat? I've never taken care of a kid before and could use your advice." Laura wanted to stop it, didn't want us in contact. But I added Iris in front of her, just to annoy her. Laura was uneasy about it, sent me a warning message. "Jackson, take out your anger on me, but Iris is innocent and kind. Don't hurt him, he has a child to care for." I calmly left them behind. Laura and I had been together for 7 years. During our hardest times, we barely ate and lived on steamed buns for 2 months, even slept at train stations because we couldn't afford rent. But those years were when we loved each other most. After we became successful, people started pampering her, and Laura began to change. During business meetings, whenever I disagreed, she thought I was trying to embarrass her. Because I'd seen her at her lowest, she felt compelled to reject everything I said, claiming I looked down on her. We grew apart over time. One night, she came home drunk from a social event, tore off my bathrobe erratically, and kissed me. It had been a while since we'd been intimate. Her passion caught me off guard. But just as we were about to reach the peak, she held me tightly and accidentally called out Iris. It was as if my blood froze and my heart was hit with a hammer. Laura also paused. The room was dark, filled with suffocating silence. I stared at the black ceiling, tears streaming silently. "Jackson." After who knows how long, Laura finally said after putting out her last cigarette, "Let's get a divorce. I'm tired of your old cologne scent, tired of your shaving cream all over the bathroom. Your suits, always in shades of gray, disgusted me. I don't want to pretend anymore. Put forth your conditions. I'll try to fulfill them, just let us be." Laura moved out overnight. I fought, argued, struggled, but it was no use. Her mind was set. She was leaving me and our son. The only kind thing she did was not tell our son the truth. We told him his mom had a job far away. But less than 6 months after the divorce, Tom wouldn't stop asking for his mom, wanting her back home. That evening, Tom secretly took my phone and video called Laura. The video connected, and he cheerfully shouted, "Mom!" But Iris picked up and greeted Tom warmly. "Hello, Tom." Tom asked seriously, "Who are you, and why do you have my mom's phone?" Iris grinned. "I'm your mom's, Tom," I shouted, cutting Iris off, snatching the phone, and ended the call, scaring Tom into tears. I hugged him tightly, feeling both guilty and heartbroken. "I'm sorry, it's all my fault. I scared you, didn't I? I'm really sorry." Tom cried all night, finally falling asleep sobbing in my arms, little hands clutching my shirt like he was afraid I'd leave too. I looked at his innocent face and felt too sad to sleep. Then I opened my phone to find Iris's latest post. Happy 1-year anniversary, Laura. Thank you for loving me and being with me. I'm so happy. Looking forward to becoming a family of 3. Love you. I tapped on the text beneath the photo. In it, Laura's holding Iris's hand. Once, Laura and I had those happy, sweet moments. After the company landed its first order, Laura dragged me to a jewelry store, insisting on gifting me a luxury watch. I worried about our finances and picked a basic mechanical watch instead. That day, we held hands walking out of the mall, and I lifted my watch to the sunlight, watching it gleam through the dial. It wasn't expensive, but it sparkled beautifully in daylight. Laura gripped my hands tightly and promised, Jackson, I'll make sure you live a good life and never regret choosing me. But Laura, you broke your promise. On the second day, everyone at work was secretly talking. Wherever I went, people gave me strange looks. My best friend, Ken, pulled me into the break room and called Iris shameless. He said, you should have kicked Laura out and taken over the company when you had the chance. I calmly made a cup of coffee and said, Laura's not dumb. She gave me the house, car, savings, and our son. That means she wants to keep the company to support Iris. But Jackson, do you know what they're saying about you behind your back? They're saying you couldn't bear being dumped, so you're hanging around to win her back. Looking through the break room glass at the office area, I saw them quickly pretend to be busy when they noticed me watching. They weren't wrong. I was upset. Why was I the one with Laura through tough times while Iris gets to enjoy everything now? Why does his son have a mom, but mine becomes part of a single-parent family? But why do I even want that woman? What I want is her company, everything she proudly owns. I'll stop at nothing for that. In the afternoon, I brought some documents to Laura's office for her to sign. After signing, she handed them back to me, saying, Jackson, sorry about the video last night. Iris was being thoughtless. Is Tom okay? Holding the papers, I replied, Tom's fine. Maybe feeling guilty, Laura's been nicer since our divorce, no longer confrontational like before. She looked at my black suit, noting it suited me well. You've lost weight, she commented. I've been working out for 2 months. It's paying off. As for Iris, she's been gaining weight trying to impress Laura with her cooking skills. Laura seemed to catch a whiff of something and asked, Did you change your cologne? I replied casually, a friend gave it to me, said it suits me. Her eyes flickered with a tease. A female friend? I didn't answer, just turned with a wider smile. The weekend was Laura's day with our son. Tom excitedly dressed as an Ultraman, waiting for Laura to take him to the amusement park. But Laura said she couldn't make it, and Tom cried until he got a high fever at night. I drove him to the ER alone. At the hospital, Laura showed up. She said Iris was also unwell there at the hospital too. While holding Tom through his second four, Laura approached. For the first time since our divorce, she seemed guilty, saying, Jackson, I'm sorry you've had it so hard. Looking at Tom asleep in my arms, I fought back tears. You should apologize to Tom. He waited so long to see you, then you didn't show. Laura kneeled, reaching out to touch Tom's face, but he flinched, snuggling closer to me. Her hand hung there a while before she slowly lowered it. Have you eaten? She asked. I shook my head. As if on cue, her phone rang. It was Iris. I couldn't hear the conversation, but Laura's expression darkened, and eventually, she said, You get some rest. I'll come back after finishing up here. Okay? How fortunes have changed. Back when I called Laura, urging her to come home, she'd often use work as an excuse too. But she never spoke to me that politely, always with irritation. After hanging up, Laura looked awkwardly at me. Iris wasn't like this. Lately, he's been clingy. Don't mind him. I'll go grab you something to eat. No need, you have Iris and the kid. Go stay with him. I've got this, I said, appearing considerate to make Laura feel guilty. Her guilty look made it clear it worked. Jackson, you seem like a different person. I smiled. Without a harbor, you learn to grow up. Her hands clenched into fists, avoiding my gaze. Jackson. Someone called my name from behind Laura. Laura turned to see a woman in a lab coat, holding a takeout box. This was Dr. Linda, 3 years younger, interning here. She'd lived with her grandma near us when we were kids. We were childhood friends until she moved overseas for school. 3 months ago, she suddenly reconnected with me. Tonight, Tom's high fever kept us waiting in the public ER too long, so I came to her. Meeting Laura here was a coincidence. Linda walked past Laura to me, her concern barely hidden. I went to a few places to find beef dumplings. Eat while they're hot. Seeing me holding Tom, Linda even offered to feed me. Laura's gaze grew cold. Are you a doctor here? Linda replied nonchalantly, sort of. Actually, my family owns this hospital. Her dad indeed was the largest shareholder of the private hospital. Laura glanced between us and cautiously asked, "What's your relationship?" Linda's raised brow was clearly suggestive. Isn't it obvious? Laura's face fell. Then Iris called again, pulling her away. Once Laura was gone, I quipped, "For heaven's sake, next time play it more coolly." I almost blew it. Linda chuckled, nudging another dumpling into my mouth. Practice makes perfect. You'll get used to it. A week later, Tom fully recovered, and I returned to work. After hours, I ran into Laura in the elevator. Seeing us, other colleagues discreetly left us alone, leaving just the two of us in it as it descended. I glanced up at the bouncing numbers on the screen. Almost at the first floor now. Laura stood next to me, hands shoved into her pockets. She asked, "Was that your girlfriend I saw at the hospital the other day?" The elevator doors pinged open. I wedged my briefcase under my arm. This didn't seem like Laura's business. After saying that, I stepped out of the elevator. Laura caught up with me. "But your romantic choices directly affect my son. I can't have my son calling someone else mom." I stopped in my tracks and turned to her. "And when you cheated, did you think of our son? When you wanted me to divorce for Iris, did you not expect I might find someone else?" Laura was left speechless. People passing by shot us curious glances. Jackson. Linda appeared like a breath of fresh air. She walked up to me and casually linked her arm with mine. "I've been waiting for you forever. About to starve here." She pouted. She tapped her watch and looked at Laura. "Is it okay for us to leave now that it's after work?" Laura clenched her teeth. Linda tugged me closer, all smug. In front of Laura, she proudly led me away. Linda was there to drop off my dad's health report. Running into me and Laura arguing was just by chance. Helping out was just a favor. But she insisted I owe her a meal. Traffic was a mess, and out of boredom, she asked, "Got any plans? Just gonna stay single?" I shrugged. "No plans, just going with the flow." "What about you? Aren't you getting a bit old for no serious dates?" With a bright smile, she nodded toward me. "Ain't we on one now?" I nearly rolled my eyes to the heavens. "Right? A spoiled princess like you? I can't handle that. We've got some nice guys at the office. I'll introduce you." She smirked. "Sounds good." Evening dinner rush meant at least an hour's wait at any place. We were almost next in line when my department director called. "Jackson, there's an issue with the financial report you submitted. We need it for the morning meeting. Come back to the office to fix it." Only when I got to the office did I realize it was all Laura's doing. Her office was the only place still lit up. The rest was deserted. The director instructed me, "Jackson, take your laptop to Laura's office, fix the report, and show it to her directly." It was past 10 at night. I settled onto the couch in Laura's office to work on the financial report. Through the floor-to-ceiling window, city lights reflected off skyscrapers, like countless eyes silently watching this busy world. Laura remained silent at her desk until she finally said, "That girl's not right for you." I paused my typing. "Why?" She looked at me. "She's too young." "Iris is younger. Men and women aren't the same." "What's different?" "It's all just about what happens in bed." I chuckled. Younger folks are more exciting. Who wouldn't enjoy that? The paper in Laura's hands crumpled as her eyes narrowed fiercely. Have you slept with her? I closed my laptop. The report's in your inbox. Check it out. If nothing else, I'm leaving. I barely stepped out when I saw a figure in a pink hoodie disappear around the hallway corner. It was Iris. I'd seen that pink hoodie in photos on his social media. So, Iris had heard our entire conversation from the doorway. Soon it was Tom's birthday. Tom had been begging on video calls for a Disney cake. So, early that day, Laura showed up with a birthday cake and bundles of gifts and snacks. While I prepped lunch in the kitchen, Laura and Tom were happily building Lego sets in the living room. It was the happiest I'd seen Tom in a while, giggling nonstop. At mealtime, he clasped his hands at his chest, earnestly made a wish, and blew out the candles. Daddy, guess what I wished for? Tom tugged my hand eagerly. I pretended to think. Tom wants an Ultraman transformer? He shook his head, then grinned and pulled us both in, pressing Laura's and my hands together. I hope Mom and Dad will stay with me forever. Seeing Tom's innocent smile made my heart ache. Laura's smile faltered a bit too. Tom cut the cake into 3 pieces, taking one and giving the others to Laura and me. He ate with gusto, cream all over his face. But suddenly, he clutched his throat, coughing intensely. Tom. My heart stopped as I scooped him up. Tom rasped as he clawed at his face and neck. Daddy, I'm so itchy. Daddy, he whimpered, struggling to breathe. He's had this reaction once before, after trying peanuts for the first time. My eyes darted to the cake. I turned to Laura, shouting, You knew he's allergic to peanuts, yet you got a peanut cake. Laura was panicking. I didn't choose it. Iris did. I had no idea. Iris. Him again. In that moment, I burned with anger against those two. Tom's peanut allergy had gotten severe, causing anaphylactic shock, and the doctor rushed him to the emergency room. As I paced anxiously outside, Iris appeared, looking shaken, eyes red. I didn't know, Laura. I swear I didn't know about Tom's peanut allergy. I'm so sorry, so sorry. Iris apologized desperately. Laura rubbed his back, comforting him. Don't cry. It's not your fault. I know you didn't mean to, but I didn't buy it. I felt it was intentional jealousy over me and Laura being alone together for work. Rage consumed me. I lunged, grabbing Iris and slapped him fiercely. Iris, if anything happens to Tom, I'll make sure you and your bastard kid pay with your lives. Iris was left dazed by my hit. I already called the cops. If it wasn't on purpose, let the police handle it. Laura froze when she saw me raising my phone. Then she pushed me hard, shielding Iris behind her. Jackson, are you freaking rabid or something? Laura couldn't care less what was what and started blaming me. Iris was just being nice, offering to buy a cake for Tom. He just wanted to get along with Tom. What's so wrong about that? How would he have known Tom was allergic to peanuts? He didn't know? I looked at Iris hiding behind Laura. He was pretending to cry, but his lips were clearly curved upwards. Even when I mentioned the cops, he didn't flinch, because he knew the police couldn't prove anything. Right then, the ER doors opened. Tom was being rolled out by a doctor. I rushed over. The doctor said, "The kid's okay now, thankfully he got here in time. As parents, you guys need to be more careful. This isn't a joke." I looked at the little guy on the stretcher, his face full of rashes, and tears just rolled down my face. After thanking the doctor, I went with Tom back to his room. Laura wanted to come too, but Iris clutched his stomach, moaning in pain. Laura quickly led him away, worried. As the elevator doors closed, I watched them disappear and clenched my fist. Tom, Dad promises he'll get justice for you. Tom was sick for several days. Iris? He just got taken to the station once for a chat, that's it. During that time, I calmed down a lot and figured out my next move against Iris and Laura. So once Tom was better, the first thing I did was take a gift to Laura. Near the end of her workday, I walked into Laura's office with a designer wallet gift box. She looked surprised since I hadn't even answered her calls recently. "What are you doing here?" she asked. I put the gift on her desk. I thought it over. I was wrong the other day. Too impulsive. "This is for Iris. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have lashed out. Ask him not to hold it against me." Laura hesitated for a moment. "Is that really how you feel?" I nodded with a smile, of course. He's going to be a dad soon. Why would he hurt Tom? I was just too anxious that day. I invited Laura. Tom said he misses his mom. "Are you free tonight? If so, come over and see him." Laura looked pleasantly surprised. "Sure." It's been a long time since I'd been in Laura's car. Felt like ages. I went straight for the back seat. The passenger side had a smell I couldn't stand. I remembered this car was bought the year Tom was born. I looked at some worn accessories inside. Time flies. It's almost 4 years already. Laura glanced at me in the rearview mirror, reminiscing, "Yeah, when Tom was little, his car seat was in the back." I chuckled. He used to get car sick, and we had to sing nursery rhymes to him all the way. It was exhausting. Good times flashed in my mind. I thoughtlessly glanced up, catching Laura's eyes in the mirror. She looked at me, a complex emotion flitting across her face. I gave her a slight smile, then glanced naturally out the window. The road home was familiar. The old dessert shop on the corner was just as bustling as ever. Only people change. Tom was so excited to see Laura he practically flew. But my dad just gave her a cold look. While Laura played with Tom, Dad pulled me to the balcony, asking, "You planning to get back with her?" I laughed dismissively. I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole. Dad was more confused. Then why bring her back? I leaned on the railing, looking through the sliding glass at the happily playing mother and son. To give her a taste of her own medicine. After Dad left, it was bedtime for Tom too. I squatted next to Tom, reassuring him, "We'll play with Mommy again tomorrow, all right? Time to sleep." Tom nodded, being the good kid he was. As I stood up, I wobbled, almost falling. Laura caught me just in time. Tom pouted, "Daddy's been sick, taking care of me even when he's ill. He takes lots of medicine. Daddy's really suffering. Mommy, can you stay to take care of Daddy and me?" Laura softened, staying to help put him to bed. While she heated milk, Tom squeezed my hand. "Did I do good, Daddy?" I playfully pinched his nose. "You little rascal." After he drank his milk, Tom nestled into Laura, listening as she read, eventually dozing off, his little hand still clinging to hers. Laura, too, tired, dozed off against the headboard. Standing at the doorway, I snapped a photo with my phone. I didn't capture all of Laura, just the hands clasped together at the bottom left corner. Then, I posted it on social media. Caption: "Tom's really happy tonight." Not long after, Laura was woken by a call. It was Iris. So, Laura left in the middle of the night. But that was just the first step of my plan, still far from enough. 2 weeks later, our company attended a partners fashion gala. Laura and I went together. A bunch of partners who didn't know we'd split showed up. Some valued how we managed our personal lives. So Laura inviting me as her date wasn't surprising. The gala was on a rooftop garden. As night fell, lights beautifully lit up the venue, brimming with laughter and chatter. The carefully chosen playlist created a calming and joyful atmosphere for the guests. Many familiar faces came to toast us. Laura and Jackson still make quite the pair. We just exchanged smiles and toasted back. When nobody was around, Laura raised her glass to me and asked, "Why did you accept my invitation? I thought you'd say no." In my heart, I was cursing, but I looked sincere when I answered, "Our company was built brick by brick with you. I don't want our personal issues affecting its growth. Plus, with the child support you give me every month, I couldn't pass up this dinner." Laura laughed at that. Maybe it was the alcohol, but her gaze turned a bit flirtatious. "Jackson, you know? Tonight has been the most relaxed and fun I've felt in a long time." I played dumb. "Did you have a fight with Iris?" She sighed, sort of. I suggested, "It's really tough for guys the first time they take care of a kid. He's probably exhausted now. I remember how chaotic it was when I first took care of Tom. Hardly got any sleep, and was constantly in a bad mood. You should try to be more understanding and patient with him. It'll get easier as the kid grows. She focused on me. You couldn't sleep at all back then? You never told me about that. I replied softly. The company was intense back then. You were too busy to even eat some days. I didn't want to distract you. The atmosphere grew more ambiguous. I momentarily frowned with annoyance, but it vanished quickly. Just then, someone called us over. Everyone, please join me over here for a group photo. There were a lot of celebrities here tonight too. I was aware that the official photos would go online for publicity. So during the group shot, I deliberately linked arms with Laura and smiled, holding my glass for the camera. Once the photo was out, it blew up with thousands of fans sharing it, cheering for their idols. It even made it to the trending topics. Iris would definitely see it. With my purpose achieved, I didn't want to linger even one more minute. After a night of keeping my smile plastered, my face felt stiff. I found an excuse to leave early. Laura insisted on taking me home, but I declined. Afterwards, Laura drank a lot during socializing. She didn't get home until almost midnight. The driver helped her, drunk as a skunk, into the house and placed her on the living room sofa. Iris, with a slight baby bump, saw the driver out. When he returned near the sofa, Laura was hugging a trash can, puking. Instead of helping, Iris glared at her angrily. Who were you with tonight? Laura, too drunk to care, lay back on the sofa after throwing up, clutching her aching head. Iris moved over, grabbing her arm, trying to wake her up. Laura, snap out of it. I'm asking you, who were you with tonight? Who were you drinking with? Laura annoyedly shrugged off Iris's hand, mumbling with her eyes closed, Jackson, my stomach hurts. Make me a hangover soup. Hearing that, Iris blew up. He stormed to the bathroom, returning with a bucket of cold water, and splashed it in Laura's face. Laura jerked awake, jumping off the sofa. Iris threw the bucket on the ground, yelling, "Were you with Jackson tonight? You even called me by the wrong name. Do you know you've been calling his name in your sleep lately?" Laura, I manage all our household stuff, working my butt off. This is how you treat me? Laura sobered up mostly. Her tangled thoughts started to clear. She looked at Iris, trying to calmly soothe him. All right, I drank too much. Nothing I said counts. You're with child, just go upstairs and sleep. Okay? I'll join you after a shower. But Iris was fuming. He saw the photo trending online with Laura and Jackson arm in arm. So close. He broke down, shouting, Laura, answer me. Do you still have feelings for him? Do you regret divorcing him? Laura stayed silent, but her patience was worn thin. Iris screamed even louder. Do you regret marrying me? You even go to put their kid to bed, soothed Tom. Do you regret everything? Laura snapped under the pressure, yes. She shouted at Iris, I do regret it. If Jackson were here, he wouldn't make a scene like this. He'd take care of me, make me hangover soup. He'd let me sleep a few more hours because he'd feel bad for me. Unlike you, making me fetch things in the middle of the night, not caring how tired I am from working all day. Iris, I married you, treated you well. What more do you want from me? Iris was stunned, eyes wide with tears, speechless. Laura, with a pounding headache, shook off Iris's hand. I'm sleeping elsewhere tonight. You need to cool off. For the first time, she didn't give in to Iris. She stormed out. At 2 a.m., it started raining suddenly. The sound of raindrops against the window woke me up. Feeling thirsty, I went downstairs for a drink. I nearly screamed seeing Laura on the sofa, soaked. Hearing footsteps, she looked toward me, explaining, I had a fight with Iris and had nowhere else to go. Thought of checking on you and Tom. She glanced at the keys on the coffee table. You haven't changed your habit of leaving spare keys on the second shoe rack. That was for my dad, who always forgot his keys when going out. Them fighting didn't shock me, but I didn't expect Iris to lose his cool so quickly. Seeing Laura drenched and defeated, I kept up my charade of being considerate. I'll make you some ginger soup. Laura acted like she hadn't had ginger soup in ages. She didn't even care that it was hot, drinking it down quickly. She laughed bitterly, This tastes familiar, yours is still the best. I picked up the empty bowl, turning to leave. Suddenly, she grabbed my hand, urgently calling my name, Jackson. I stayed put, silent. After a long pause, she said, dejected, I regret it. If I had another chance, I wouldn't have divorced you. I pulled my hand away from hers and looked down, saying, don't forget, you still have another wedding ring on your finger. You don't get to say things like that. She wasn't ready to give up and grabbed my wrist again. What if I take it off? Jackson, would you give us another chance? I calmly pulled my hand back again. Laura, I don't answer hypothetical questions. I didn't want Laura to stay the night. But then I spotted a familiar red car outside. It was Iris's, so I changed my mind last minute. I let Laura stay in the guest room. I didn't leave once all night, more than enough to make Iris jealous. The angrier he gets, the more irrational he becomes. That's when he's easiest to handle. The next morning, though, Linda showed up unexpectedly. I hadn't seen that coming. Wasn't she supposed to be abroad for a conference? So why was she here? I stood there by the door like a statue when I saw Linda with breakfast. Did you see a ghost? What's with that look? She asked, frowning. Before I could say anything, Laura's voice came from behind me. Who's here? And there they were, one standing inside and the other at the door, just staring at each other. Linda smirked with that spirited but cunning look that could put any TV show diva to shame. She leaned in close to my ear, whispering, so, there's really a ghost in the house, huh? Just then, Tom came down the stairs. Aunt Linda, he shouted, racing over and hugging her. Ever since he got sick last time and Linda kept visiting to play with him, they've hit it off. Linda handed me the breakfast and squatted to hug Tom. I missed you, Tom. I rushed over as soon as I got off the plane. She led him inside with the ease of a lady of the house. I brought you a ton of toys. They're in the car trunk. Let's grab them after breakfast, all right? Tom clapped. Okay. Linda passed by Laura with a sly smile and said, excuse me. Thanks. Laura watched as Tom and Linda interacted, and her face darkened. It was the longest breakfast I've ever had. Everyone had something to eat except Laura. Linda peeled an egg for me and said to Laura, sorry, didn't know we'd have an extra guest. Didn't buy enough. Laura held her cup of water, maintaining her composure. It's fine. I'm not hungry. Linda spread her hands nonchalantly, giving me a look like she was saying, this pretentious woman is at it again. Laura got called away by her secretary's call. Before she left, she wanted to kiss Tom, but he was too busy building blocks with Linda. He just blew her a kiss half-heartedly. Laura left with a cold face. Closer to noon, I was making lunch in the kitchen. Linda sneaked in while Tom was focused on his puzzles. She grabbed a bottle of mineral water from the fridge, took a few sips, then stood next to me, arms crossed. What are you scheming? She asked, tilting her head. I tossed the chopped chives into a bowl. Why do you ask? Linda gave a slight smirk. You're getting back at Laura. Letting her stay to irritate that guy, right? I laughed while washing the greens. What if I want to remarry? Not a chance. Linda said firmly. Your mom left you and your dad for another man back then. You hate cheating more than anything. No way you'd go back. You can't stand Laura, let alone make peace. I paused, turned off the tap, and faced Linda. I told her about Tom's peanut allergy episode on his birthday. As a dad, I can't let anyone who tries to harm my son off the hook. Linda listened intently, then looked at Tom engrossed in his puzzle in the living room. She frowned deeply. Suddenly, she hugged me gently. Jackson, do whatever you need to do. I've got your back. Time flew, and soon it was the end of another quarter. Starting Monday, the whole finance department was buzzing, cranking out reports for the upcoming quarterly meeting. On the night before the meeting, we did a final review. It was past 10 p.m., and most people had left. Only me, the director, and one cashier were left in the finance department. I was exhausted, and the office coffee machine was broken, so I had to order a coffee. As I looked at the steaming cup, I came up with a little idea. I glanced toward Laura's office. The lights were still on. She was still working. So, I snapped a picture of my coffee and posted it online with a caption. Working late. Thanks for the coffee, someone special. Iris would surely think Laura sent it. About half an hour later, the director came over with some reports to check with Laura, but I stopped him. Director, I'll go. Your son's still sick, right? Go home early. His eyes were full of gratitude as he handed me the files. Thanks, Jackson. With the director and cashier gone, the only ones left were Laura, me, and a few tech guys. I checked the time and estimated how long it would take Iris to get here. Right on cue, I knocked on Laura's office door with the reports. She looked surprised to see me. You're still here? I nodded. Before, I'd have stayed across the desk. But tonight, I walked over and put the files in front of her. I also handed her a box of stomach medicine. I heard from Secretary Lee that you had a stomachache this evening. Got this for you. Work's important, but so is your health. Her eyes softened a bit, and she stared at the medicine box in my hand. Just like before, you always buy me that brand. While reporting to Laura, I got close, bent over, and carefully explained the key data on the report. A well-timed glance over my shoulder caught her looking right at me. In this silent office, even her breathing became heavy. Jackson, she whispered, can you go back to the old cologne? I liked it more than what you're wearing now. Funny, she was the one who said it made her sick before. I laughed to myself but kept a straight face. Laura couldn't help but lift her hand to touch my face. I thought about dodging but held still. Just as her fingertips brushed my cheek, the office door slammed open. Laura and I both turned to look at the door. Iris stood there, glaring at us with a terrifying look. He was red with anger. Without a word, he marched in, grabbed the cup off the table, and threw the water right in my face. I could have dodged, but I chose not to. Laura jumped up from her chair, standing between us. Iris, what are you doing? Iris, shaking with jealousy, pointed at me, questioning Laura. It's late at night. The two of you alone. What are you doing here? Laura, exasperated, pointed to the reports on the table. We were just working. Working? Does working require being that close, touching his face? Laura, do you think I'm a child and easy to fool? Iris was fuming. You've been avoiding home for days, not answering my calls. It's all because of him, isn't it? I acted like the victim, hiding behind Laura, listening to their fight. Laura, I'm gonna go. I feigned being upset as I left the office. Iris lunged forward to grab me, but Laura held him back. As I got out the door, I heard Laura snapping at Iris. Can't you ever behave? For once, use your brain. Do you realize how embarrassing this is if anyone from the office saw? How would that look for me? Iris scoffed. If you didn't want to be seen, you shouldn't do such shameful things. Are you really worried about being embarrassed now? Laura lost her cool, yelling back. The most embarrassing thing I ever did was marrying you. If I knew you'd be like this, I wouldn't have divorced Jackson. I listened to their heated argument through the door, feeling a twisted satisfaction. The water was totally worth it. Laura caught up to me at the office building's entrance. She said, it's hard to get a cab now. Let me drive you home. I pretended to be diplomatic. Don't worry, you should go back and talk to him. Clear up any misunderstandings. But Laura shoved me into the passenger seat, brushing off my concerns. Forget about him. With a loud slam, she shut the car door. We pulled away smoothly. In the rearview mirror, I saw Iris storming out, tossing his shoe at the car like a madman. On the drive, I didn't feel like talking to Laura, so I played possum and pretended to sleep. When we got to my place, she woke me up. I said goodbye as I prepared to get out. Laura grabbed my arm. Jackson, I'm sorry for what Iris did tonight. I shook my head with a smile. It's fine. He did it because he cares about you, I get it. Laura looked weary. Jackson, I finally realize, you're the only one who's genuinely been good to me. When we were together, you always had my clothes neatly pressed, picked out what I should wear each day. You cooked my favorite meals and looked after me when I was sick, handling everything at home. But Iris doesn't do any of that. My clothes are always wrinkled, he never cooks, and wouldn't know how to make a hangover soup if his life depended on it. My whole life feels like a mess. She laid her hands on the steering wheel, leaning her head down in frustration. Jackson, I really regret this. Her confession seemed self-important. But to me, it was nauseating. She didn't regret because she loved me. It's because her life now doesn't match up. If Iris had been a good husband, she wouldn't have thought of me at all. I seized the moment, hinting at her. But Laura, you're already married. You can't just leave him for me. Can you? This late, I should go. Eager to escape her clutches, I got out of the car and headed straight for my door. I had no clue what Laura did when she got back to Iris. But 3 days later, Iris took the bait. He came for me, meeting at a cafe. He started off with sarcasm. So, what are you after? I casually sipped my coffee, pretending ignorance. What do you mean? Iris glared, itching to tear me apart. You want Laura to divorce me, don't you? You're not that slow, huh? I taunted him. Iris, you brought this on yourself. You should never have messed with my Tom. Don't tell me the peanut cake was an accident. Iris, fists clenched, admitted. It wasn't. I married Laura because she's wealthy. But if she still had feelings for you, how am I supposed to feel secure? I thought the only tie between you two was Tom. If he were out of the picture, how else could you latch onto Laura? And Tom's her heir too. Why should you two get in the way of my son's inheritance? When we divorced, you got the house, the car, and the savings, Jackson. You were just too greedy. Don't blame me for being ruthless. I locked eyes with him, and it felt like a powerful clash, sparks flying everywhere. Iris warned me, Jackson, no matter what you do, I'm not divorcing Laura. I came here today to tell you to stop wasting your time. He looked a bit smug and said, let me tell you a little secret. My son is her only hope. Laura can't have kids. She won't have her own baby in this lifetime. She loves boys so much, she would never abandon my son and me. You know how it is with father is honored because of the son, right? Don't even think about Laura or her money. My hand was in my coat pocket, playing with the recorder, and I smirked. Iris, let's just wait and see. I walked toward the door, but after a couple of steps, I turned back. I went up to him, grabbed the orange juice from the table, and poured it over his head. There you go. Then I walked out in style, ignoring Iris' screaming curses behind me. I felt it was time. With Laura's current status, dealing with Iris would be much easier for her than me. When Laura came to my place wanting to reconcile, I decided to lay it all out. We sat on the couch in my living room. I pulled out the recorder and played the edited audio for her. Laura was furious after listening, and she shouted, that bastard! He said he didn't want my money and just wanted to be with me, but it was all a lie. He's insane for trying to harm Tom. Laura acted way faster than I thought. She threw the investigation report in Iris's face, demanding a divorce. When he refused, she took him to court for a forced divorce. She even found the staff who made that cake for Iris. Combined with the recording, they held him accountable for trying to harm Tom. The court convicted Iris of intentional harm and sentenced him to 3 years in prison. The day Laura got the divorce papers, she rushed to see me. But on her way, heavy rain suddenly poured down, and with poor visibility, she accidentally ran a red light and collided with a big truck. Despite efforts to save her, she didn't make it. The hospital called me, saying Laura wanted to see me. When I arrived, she was barely hanging in there on the bed. I didn't feel a shred of pity. I calmly told her, Laura, I'm here to make something clear. I never planned to get back with you. Everything I did was to reclaim what was rightfully mine. You got what you deserved. Laura clutched the bedsheet, tears rolling down her cheeks, mumbling something I couldn't hear. But the resentment and anger in her eyes, oh, how satisfying that was. I smiled wider. Your parents are gone, and now Tom is the sole heir. Everything you took pride in ultimately fell into my hands. Laura never closed her eyes, even in death. I remember that day vividly. The sky was exceptionally blue, with clouds like a beautiful painting. Walking out of the hospital, I felt like I could finally breathe freely. Linda's epilogue. A year later, February 14th, Valentine's Day. Linda picked me up after work and we went for some hot pot. As we left the mall, snowflakes began to fall, creating a romantic and cozy atmosphere. She wrapped her white scarf around my neck, smiling. "I'm so stuffed. How about a walk?" I nodded, sure. The ground was covered in snow, everything looking so clean. Most of the people on the street were couples, walking hand in hand, laughing and talking. Some vendors approached couples, offering single roses wrapped up nicely. As we got closer, one came up to us. "Miss, how about a rose for your boyfriend? It's cheap, only $15. I hesitated, wanting to explain, "Actually, we're not." But before I could finish, Linda already paid, handing me one. We kept walking side by side, not saying a word, leaving a subtle and ambiguous feeling between us. At a street corner waiting for the light to change, a nearby bakery played music, a song by Jane, "Finally Waited for You." As it went, "Finally waited for you," glad I didn't give up. The couples around looked sweetly at each other, basking in their happiness. Linda and I stood among them, caught up in the loving vibe. Our hands brushed lightly, sending electric currents through my body. My face was burning, and I nervously swallowed, looking far into the distance, too scared to meet her gaze. The light turned green. I began walking forward. Linda stayed put, calling me Jackson. I turned around. She stood amid the falling snow, pulling out a delicate silver tie clip from her coat pocket, holding it out on her palm. "This is what I bought for you 15 years ago." Her voice, intentionally softened, carried a tender warmth. "Can you give me a chance to put it on you? I'm serious." I looked at the slightly messy strands of hair on her forehead, her strikingly beautiful face, unable to suppress the smile breaking across my face. "Sure."